We almost skipped Tasmania, but two of our viewers who live here, Susan and John, said, "You need to visit." And when we learned about Port Arthur, we knew Hobart was a place we wanted to understand more deeply.
We only had 10 days, so we filled them with history, wildlife, hikes, whiskey tasting, and even some heartbreak. And some of the kindest people we've met anywhere. This is what we would have missed if we hadn't come.
And why we think Tasmania deserves a whole lot more attention than it gets. Let's take you there. I'm Judy.
And I'm Kevin. Welcome back to Finding Gina Marie, where we share our lives as full-time travelers and the connections we make along the way.
Tasmania is an island state off mainland Australia and is a little more than an hour by plane from Melbourne. Hobart is its capital city. We stayed in Battery Point, one of Hobart's oldest neighborhoods. Some of their heritage roses have been around for 70 years, and you can tell by the lush flower gardens in front of their houses here. Every house looked like a garden postcard.
Before we jumped into the history, we wanted to get a sense of the land, but we needed the weather to cooperate.
And everyone told us the same thing. Wait for a clear day to visit Mount Wellington, also known as Kunani.
We kept seeing these dual names on signs, like Kunani and Mount Wellington, and we weren't sure what was going on. Turns out it's part of a broader effort to recognize Aboriginal heritage. We got lucky. Our guide, Greg, told us the view stretched 150 kilometers that day.
One of the places we were most drawn to near Hobart was Port Arthur, once one of the harshest penal colonies of the British Empire.
The challenge was that we don't typically rent cars when we're traveling, and this is some place that wasn't easy to get to, so we needed to book a tour. And all of the tours that we saw required a full day or several hours, and other things were thrown in. We also needed to have good weather. Now, fortunately, I did find a tour, and I'm really glad we got to see some of the other things that were added onto this tour.
And I'm glad that Hobart was really kind to us with the weather that day.
Now, if the whole day is like this temperature, I would be thrilled.
Yeah, me too. And there are birds singing. I think everything's happy to be alive today.
Yes.
As are we.
Not to have rain. We've had so much in our time in Australia. Having these special days with great weather. Drink it up. That black streak right there is where the water usually runs down. It is dry right now.
Before we got to the prisons, we had a chance to walk along the cliffs. Tasmania calls these great short walks, and they live up to the name. In fact, I really liked it. It was just enough to really see all of these picturesque viewpoints without being overly strenuous at all.
You know, I like these little lookouts along the way.
Oh, yeah.
Just wander out, get a view of the beautiful blue water. Oh my God.
I know.
This is stunning.
It is kind of wild that nobody is swimming.
There are scuba divers in the area though.
Our walk ended with two incredible rock formations, Tasman Arch and Devil's Kitchen.
At some point this probably was an arch. Yeah.
It's wild terrain shaped over millions of years, and the water was just incredible as it crashed along these rocks.
Tasman's Arch. In fact, we walked right across it. Didn't even realize we did it.
You're right, the views here were absolutely spectacular. And I'm kind of glad we had them because when we got to Port Arthur, it got heavy. When Australia was established as a British colony in 1788, the Brits sent convicts over, claiming it was to solve prison overcrowding.
Yeah, these convicts weren't even really bad convicts in a lot of cases, sometimes stealing minor things or just being debtors.
Well, I think that's because they were really trying to build an empire with forced labor. I'm even thinking that Tasmania was one of its main convict settlements. They used prisoners to cut lumber, clear land, and every building you see here was constructed by prisoners.
The labor conditions were brutal, and Port Arthur was a perfect spot for a prison. It's tucked away on a remote peninsula with just one narrow land bridge guarded by dogs and soldiers. Basically, no way out. It was technically created as a place for punishment and rehabilitation. mostly religious indoctrination. And while people were learning trades, the punishment often went far beyond what fit the crime.
One of the more disturbing parts of this prison was how they were reducing the humanity of the prisoners. There was a sign with all of the list of rules that people had to follow, including not being able to even talk. And when they were referred to by numbers instead of their names.
Yeah, they couldn't even show their faces. They were wearing hoods and kept private from everybody else. And the tiny amount of food that they got every day was not enough to give them the energy they needed to do all the work and all the manual labor that they were performing.
And on top of all of that, prisoners were having to wear 18-kilogram iron leg restraints.
Yeah, if you want to know how heavy they are, watch the video a little bit later where I try some on. One of the most devastating exhibits was the Little Depraved Felons that teaches about the boys of Point Puer. This bay was located across from Port Arthur as the first juvenile prison for boys in the British Empire. But again, often the punishment didn't fit the crime.
Stealing a loaf of bread, for example.
And some boys here were as young as 9 years old.
I think even just the name of this exhibit, the Little Depraved Felons, that's just mind-boggling that that's how they were being referred to.
Imagine being taken from the UK all the way down to Tasmania just to be put to labor.
So these are 9-kilogram weights, ankle shackles. What the convicts actually used were 18. So this is only half weight. Let's see how long and how easily you can get around. Okay, how's it feel?
You should try it out.
Oh, no, that's fine. I'd like to have you shackled.
Especially, well, that's for another channel. That's crazy. Especially if you're underfed and no sleep and no nutrition.
Now, one of the things that I probably wouldn't have planned to do, so I'm really glad that our tour included it, was a cruise around the Isle of the Dead and also a view of Point Puer.
That was a very nice cruise.
Yes, it was.
I think it was worthwhile. I originally had thought, I don't need a cruise. I just want to see the island. I want to see the penal colony and that kind of thing. But
Sure.
This was really worthwhile.
I think so.
This whole day was, in my opinion.
Yeah, especially if it's good weather like this. Spectacular.
Yeah.
Stop. I can't talk. I'm
God.
tired. Thanks.
Well, I think the editor can trim that one.
I know a guy.
When we arrived, we were given a playing card with an image on it, with the goal to match this card to an exhibit. It was a nice little touch to add lightness to the exhibits.
These exhibits basically showcased the life of somebody who spent time here, which was an interesting way to humanize the people who were in Port Arthur. And if you're wondering how much that tour costs, at the end of our video, we'll be sharing everything that we spent during our time in Tasmania.
We made a stop in Richmond, which is a quaint little town with Australia's oldest bridge still in use. Of course, it was built by convicts, which takes a little bit away from it.
Originally, when we were looking at the tour, I didn't think that this would be a place that we really needed to stop in, but I was kind of glad we did. There was a little lolly shop, and we got to see like a bunch of different candies that we had as kids, and that was kind of fun.
Yeah, after this visit, now I call every candy lollies. So she's probably getting tired of it at this point.
It ended up being a nice, lighthearted stop after the heaviness of Port Arthur, so I'm glad we had it included.
Yeah, and I got a cappuccino, so I was happy.
I think you also got some sort of candy, too.
I got stuff. I didn't deprive myself.
We stayed at St. Ives Apartments, and the receptionist was so friendly, which really set the tone for our entire time in Tasmania.
He gave us a lot of suggestions.
He'd recommended a bakery called Jackman and McRoss, and it was good, and I'm glad we got to go there because I wanted to try wallaby pie.
And their service was excellent.
So that is a meaty pie for breakfast. That's a pretty but it said blackberry, so we'll see, because it looks like it would not be it would be very savory. It's very tender, but it is dense, like stew meat. But I don't know, it's pretty good. It feels like you could totally eat this for dinner.
but I actually preferred the toasties and really good coffee we got from Little Amsterdam Cafe. And one of the things that I thought was most outstanding was just how friendly and I'd almost use the word joyful that the servers were there.
Yeah. She was just, every day we'd walk in and just the biggest smile and the happiest voice. I don't know, really a lift.
Yeah, we weren't there enough for it to be her friendly to us. She was just a friendly person. It was really sweet.
Yep.
We really did want to understand Hobart a little bit more. So we were really glad that we ended up taking a walking tour with Peter from Airbnb Experiences. He ended up showing us history, and he made recommendations that we probably wouldn't have discovered or learned about on our own.
We met up at the Salamanca Arts Center, which was a nice downhill walk from our apartment. This area once had been home for Hobart's booming whale industry, but after it fell into disrepair, Hobart provided artists and craftspeople inexpensive 99-year leases, which is why the area is so vibrant and colorful today.
And it just so happened that the day we had this tour was a Saturday, so the whole Salamanca Market was alive and vibrating when we arrived, which was pretty cool to walk through.
Yeah, and I was a little worried that we wouldn't find our guide because there were so many people there.
Good morning, guys. Feel free to come up and grab one. All yours.
Where do you get samples of shrimp? And there were some of those containers that were really large, so you could really eat up.
Oh, this is really good shrimp.
Have a great meal.
Oh, I'm just gonna get another. Excellent samples. Welcome.
Pretty nice, huh?
We kept passing by the Whaler restaurant, but it was interesting to learn that the restaurant was on the ground floor and above it was a brothel.
I think what fueled the brothel was all the rum that flowed freely in this area. And while we didn't see any of the rum, we were surprised to see that Tasmania has its own single malt whiskey, and I had to try some.
What was always the smooth one?
Yeah, my father will be making his whiskey.
Kevin even ended up buying some to take back to the apartment.
Why not? It's a small bottle.
One thing we never expected to see here were bagpipers. And they were right near David Park. And since we had bagpipers at our wedding, this was just an unexpected delight.
Always makes us smile.
Now, we'd passed by David Park a few different times as we were coming and going from some of our tours. But it was really interesting to learn the history, which I never would have imagined. It turned out it was one of Hobart's earliest burial grounds. It was used in the early 1800s before larger cemeteries took over. And after the site fell into disrepair, some of the remains were moved, but not all of them.
That kind of freaked me out when the guy said that. It's like, some of them are still there? That's really rare. And he said that over the time, many of the headstones were damaged or removed, and the space was just converted into a public park. Some of the old gravestones were salvaged and put directly into a stone wall, a subtle but powerful way to remember the people that were once buried there.
There was even more to this tour, but we also were ready to go back to the market and taste some of the things that our guide had talked about. And the number one thing that I was eager to try was pocket curry.
Yeah. What an interesting concept. I love curry, and I saw them putting it together for people. It's like, that's a tortilla or something? What are they doing?
Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So let's try this butter chicken that our guide recommended. And I'm not even sure what all he put on top, but it looks good.
Yogurt, coriander, and chili. Now, our guide was a chef, so he was pointing out the best places for food, not just a random tour guide stuff. He actually had some expert advice.
Yes, and at the very bottom of this is rice as well. So
It's going to take a while to get down
it's
to
a
it.
very clever way to serve it.
Yeah.
I really liked it.
But then also our guide had said, you have to try scallop pie. So we did. He recommended Banjo's Bakery Cafe, which is apparently a Hobart institution.
Oh, look at that.
And the scallops here, our chef tour guide told us, do have roe on them, which makes them unique to a lot of places. They're smaller and they have more flavor.
And we noticed these when we were at a Italian restaurant.
Yeah.
And see this little attachment.
Right.
So they're not just round and flat. They have looks like a colored piece of a garlic clove. That's what it looks like to me.
It looks it's an exact, but it looks kind of like the tail of some shrimp, because it's got that color to it.
And yes, we know they're hand pies, and we used a fork to show off the filling, but we did finish them using our hands. And if you read the comments on our Melbourne video, you know why we're saying this.
Now, the day before, we did try these scallops when we visited Don Camillo Italian restaurant, and you can clearly see the roe sack on the scallops topping this delicious bowl of pasta.
Whenever we go to a place where fish and chips is a staple, we have to get some, and Fish Frenzy's version was served in a huge cone with fries.
Look at the size of this horn of fish and chips. I don't know why I talked myself out of sharing one. This was really dumb.
Your attitude was, it looks smaller in the picture.
It did.
But it is literally the size of my arm.
Aha. Oh, mistake. Okay. It's got a really nice taste, and the tempura batter is really light. So you're not eating a lot of batter, you're getting just a little nice layer on top. But really delicious. Just good because we got some. Dig in, Judy.
We came to Tasmania not really knowing what to expect, but I think it blew us away, even just in our short time there. However, there was one more activity that I really wanted to find out more about, and that had to do with animals, and I'm so glad that we got to experience it.
Bunurong Wildlife Sanctuary is a world-class wildlife hospital and rescue center that answers 20,000 rescue calls a year.
There's a bus that will take you from Hobart to here and back, but you also need to book a separate ticket to the sanctuary, which we did in advance online, and we arrived right in time to take a free tour.
All right, guys, so you're doing a 130 tour. Beautiful. That actually show the shape and the size, but you kind of get a
Fun fact, did you know that wombats poop in cubes? We didn't. I don't know if we needed to know that, but we learned it anyway.
As they age, that gets better and better form.
Our first stop was to meet a wombat named Popcorn. We showed up just in time before he decided to burrow underground.
So she's got a lot of growing to do. Hey, Popcorn. Where's grass with you? Where's your grass? Have you eaten all your grass? You eaten all your grass?
Wombats get aggressive around 2 years old. If they're able to be released before that age, they try to give them only minimal handling as they near that stage so they can forget humans and function on their own in the wild.
There were a lot of really pretty birds here, including a 111-year-old cockatoo named Fred.
I'm just impressed at that age. How?
I don't know. Here's the cutest pair of echidnas, which are like spiny anteaters with quills. In fact, one of them, I don't know if you can tell, is missing a leg, so it's kind of a tripod.
The wobbly one. One of our viewers told us that these and platypuses confused Europeans when they got here because they break all the rules. They're furry mammals that lay eggs and then suckle their young. Doesn't make any sense.
For me, the highlight of the sanctuary was to see the Tasmanian devil here. The sad news is there's an incurable facial tumor disease that prevents rescue devils from being returned to the wild.
This one only arrived today and our guide was giving Tassie its first smell of her. We had no idea they gave birth to around 20 babies, the size of rice grains, but only about 4 of them survive. Which makes sense if they started out the size of rice grains.
And finally, there are kangaroos. Too many of them are hit by tourists driving in cars at night, and they don't realize to look out for them. The babies are brought here, and because many of them have been raised here, they don't really have a fear of humans, which is unlike the ones that we saw in Melbourne, who wouldn't let us get even a little bit near them.
Yeah, I couldn't even get my camera to focus on them. You got all the good shots.
I think the love and science poured into this place just blew us away. It was a really positive way to end our time in Hobart.
We almost skipped Tasmania, but now we know it would have been one of our biggest travel regrets.
Tasmania gave us all of the raw, untamed beauty that we were really looking to find in Australia. So if you are headed through Australia, don't skip Tasmania.
And we highly recommend it. It's a beautiful place and so much to see.
And if you've already been here, we'd love to hear your experience in the comments. So what did it cost us for 10 days in Tasmania? Travel cost us $889 or $445 per person. Lodging was $897 or $90 per day. A single Uber ride with tip cost $28. Dining and groceries were a total of $692 or $35 per person per day. Tours cost us a total of $467. The total cost is $2,973. Minus the cost of travel from Melbourne, we spent $2,084, which breaks down to $208 per day and $104 per person per day.
If you haven't already seen our video from Melbourne, we think you'll really like it, and you can find it right here.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode from Hobart. If you haven't already subscribed, we'd love for you to do that, especially because we're going to be in New Zealand for a month, starting with Auckland.
And remember to
Wander more,
worry less,
and bring a passport.
Until next time.
Until next time.
Oh, blow us right off the edge.